guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the top 10 books I've read for the first quarter of the year. I saw Larry from Larry Reads do this. I think she did her top 5 of the quarter, but I was like, this is such a great idea. I usually do books I'm obsessed with in my 5-star reads, but I have a lot of 5-star reads, more than 10, and I thought it would be perfect for me to sit down and chat with my absolute top 10 favorite, and I have read 65 books in the first 3 months, and I have a lot of really great books, so I will go ahead and get to them. But before we get into the video, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Max Monroe. What I should have said is a bad boy grumpy hero with a runaway bride heroine. So the heroine has not chosen her life. She is this fashionista living in the city with a very wealthy fiance, but on the day of her wedding, she learns something and decides to run away to the small town where the hero lives, and he actually had picked her up as a hitchhiker, and he could not stand her, and so he told her to get off his car because she's so annoying. She is actually learning more about her estranged sister and is in for much more than she bargained for in this new town with these new people, with this guy who is very grumpy and does not like her, but that she is starting to like. This is enemies to lovers with a lot of secrets that come to light and a summer that both of them are never going to forget. Make sure you check out What I Should Have Said, and thank you so much to Max Monroe for sponsoring this video. None of these books on this list are going to be surprise, but the first one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I was obsessed with this, and as I speak, Tori, my best friend, started this book yesterday, finally, and I read this in January. So she has taken 4 months to read one of my favorite books, and I hope she loves it because this one is so good. It is a society where the people who don't have powers are taken out because they are said to nullify the powers of everyone else, and the heroine is powerless, and so her dad has raised her to act like she has these like psychic abilities, and she's very good at observing and very good at faking it, and the hero though can use other people's abilities. So he is actually the enforcer for the king, who is his father because he's a prince, and he takes people out who don't have powers. And so the heroine doesn't, and he meets her and he's like, I can't use your powers. She's like, oh, they're just weak, they're just like mind powers, like it's totally fine. And she has actually chosen to compete in this competition, and the hero is as well, and so they are competing together, and he was very protective and possessive over her. I was obsessed, so obsessed, love this book. Are we surprised there's a Catherine Cowles book on this list? We are not. Ashes of You is so good. One of my favorites of the series. I can't decide between this and Echoes, but this is a single dad nanny romance, and what really sold me is the serial killer. I love a romantic suspense with a serial killer. So this one is the heroine is coming back to town because she was taken by a serial killer and survived. And the hero is the one who found her and brought her back to safety. And she is back in town now, and she applied for a nanny position, and she does not know he is the person she has applied for the position with. And he has 3 sons, a teenager, a like 12-year-old, and like a 6-year-old. There's a pretty big difference between all the sons, and the heroine is the perfect person for the job though, because she gets along really well with them, and the hero is very attracted to her, and she just feels really safe with him. And it is a single dad nanny romance, like I said, small town, and the serial killer from her past ends up murdering people in the vicinity of the town. It is so good, so please read this if you have not yet. Then I have The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea. Talk about my like angsty roots. This book is so angsty and so good. This one, our heroine is a rock star. She's just a very famous singer, but she is not living a healthy life, and her manager pushes her to the max and does not care about her health. So she is invited by her ex-boyfriend to go on his family vacation with him, and he's like, please, my mom has cancer. This is supposed to be like one last big trip. She says yes, but she's like, nothing's gonna happen. And she cannot stand his brother, who is the hero. His brother is this doctor. He's grumpy. He does like Doctors Without Borders, so he's in some really small foreign country that is very war-torn to help them, and he gets to go on vacation with them to Hawaii, and he knows he has to go back, and they immediately do not get along, but they fall so hard for each other because her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, is stuck in a foreign country because he had like pot in his bag, got arrested. He's gonna be out in a few days, but he's late to their vacation, so her and the brother start hanging out a lot and realize they like each other. And it's so angsty because it's like off limits, but I love it so much, and I stayed up all night reading. I could not put this book down. obsessed. And then I have Unsteady by Peyton Corinne, which recently re-released traditionally, and this one is a hockey figure skater romance, and the hero actually has panic attacks when he tries to skate because his last time in a game he got knocked out and he is like horrified of that happening again. So he gets really bad anxiety, and the heroine is coming to skate early at the rink and finds him in the middle of a panic attack, helps him through it, and offers to help him kind of like get his groove back into skating. And she is taking care of her younger brothers because she does not have a good home life, and she is very like jaded when it comes to other people. She doesn't trust very well, but they start falling for each other, and it's so good. Oh my gosh, if you like a sports romance, you like figure skater hockey, read this one. Another hockey romance that definitely took me by surprise is Icebound by Meredith Trapp. This is an age gap romance, and the hero is like in his early 30s. He's a hockey goalie, and he ends up meeting the heroine because she is his Uber driver. He had a really horrible date, and they end up finding this child. I think he had like a diabetic attack or something, and she ends up getting out of the car and helping him, and he ends up being the son of someone that could help the hero get like a good brand deal. So they invite him to this event, and she actually has to pretend he's her boyfriend because her sister and her ex-boyfriend, who is now her sister's boyfriend, show up, and so she doesn't want to tell them that she's an Uber driver now, so she says that that's her boyfriend, and so they have to fake date, and he wants her to fake date him so he can get this brand deal with this woman, and they really like each other. He does not know how young she is though, because she lied about her age when they first met, so he is also in this weird spot where he doesn't know what to do with his life because he really wants to settle down and have kids, and he doesn't know what his identity would be without hockey, but he knows like he really should be thinking about retiring, and the heroine is way too young to be thinking about marriage with him, and he's like, well, this will never work. So it's a lot of tension in their romance because they both are falling so hard, but they're at such different points in their lives, and they're like, oh, how is this gonna work? So good. I loved it. I loved it. I do have Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale next. This one I will not stop talking about, but it is so good. It is a why choose dragon shifter romance, and the heroine shows up to this university on her first day, meets this guy, and he immediately smells her, and he's like, oh. Like, he knows what she is. She's a dragon shifter. She has no idea. And she is his mate, along with 4 people. There are 5 guys in this romance, and the heroine is very confused because she's liking them all. We have a football player on the college campus. We have a professor. We have a very grumpy, broody guy who doesn't want anything to do with her. We have a very possessive, protective guy who wants everything to do with her. And then we have like this mafia kind of guy who is like this billionaire, but he definitely does some illegal things, and he owns a club. So it's their romance with all of them. So there's a couple age gaps, and the heroine has no idea magic exists. Her parents were murdered when she was young, and she's thrown into this world and learns a little about them. And there are cliffhangers after every book. Book 2 just released. So good. I was so addicted. The audiobook's amazing. Just please read this. Then it's no surprise that we have House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. This book I read all in one day, and I was just obsessed with the entire thing. It was so fast paced. There was something always happening, and it's book 3 in the series and delivered on everything I wanted and more. I have a couple of complaints, but they're like super small. I loved Bryce and Hunt. Hunt is my absolute favorite. So many characters in here go through it. I was obsessed with Lydia and Rune. Lydia is one of my new favorite characters of all time in the Sarah J. Maas world, and I couldn't get enough. Like, the goosebumps I got at the end, I cried actual tears reading this book. If you know, you know. Like, I can't really tell you anything else about it, but if you've read them, I loved it. I know a lot of people didn't, but oh my god, I was obsessed. Absolutely one of my favorite books of the year. Then I have Loving Romeo by Laura Pavlov. This book really surprised me because I really love Laura's books, but After the Storm was like one of my absolute favorite books last year. This one was not the same trope because After the Storm was Second Chance, and that's like my catnip. I love that. This one is a hate to love romance, and he though is a like fighter, and he has been taunted by this guy to fight him, and he doesn't want to get back in like the business, but he's like, if I get a huge payout, like sure, I'll do it to set up my family. And the heroine owns the like bakery around the corner from his gym, and she actually went to college for nutrition. So they immediately don't like each other though, because he hates her because of something her family did to him that she doesn't know happened. And they end up agreeing to work together. Like, she's like, I'll help you with your nutrition, get you set up for this fight, and fall super hard in love. And I loved every second of it. There's a little bit of the suspense in here, like someone is being threatening. She signs up for self-defense, and he's like, why? Like, who the heck hurt you? I love it. This one was so good. I just fell in love with the town, and there's so much found family in here because he has a group of friends that all really love each other, and there's a single dad among them too, so there's a little kid involved, and it is so perfect. I loved it. Then I have a series I will not stop talking about, and that is Where We Belong by Ashley Munoz. The first one was one of my favorite books of last year as well. I was obsessed. This is a motorcycle romance, and this one is a interesting one because it's hard to like pinpoint the trope that it is, because the heroine is actually best friends with his best friend. He grew up with the heroine of book one and was really protective over her. She is the son of the president of the motorcycle club, and the hero in this one basically has been like raised to take over and isn't given the position in book one after her dad dies, which is a whole other story. So he's really just not that happy about it, but he has to be vice president to this guy, and then he gets promoted to president when things happen, and now he's president of this club, and he is very, very protective over the heroine. And he only met the heroine recently, but something had happened between them where he is like, nothing can ever happen again, but she is always around and definitely needs protection because she is sometimes in danger because of certain situations, and she's always around though, and it is so good. There's definitely a big secret in here that I was like, oh shoot, and I just loved it so much. I love the mix of like a little bit of suspense because of the MC with the romance, and it's like not dark though like some MC romances are. It's just like the perfect contemporary MC romance. Please read it. And the last one I have is definitely a surprise for me, and that is The Search by Nora Roberts. I was obsessed with this book when I was reading it. The heroine's actually a dog trainer, so this does have to do with serial killers. She survived a serial killer and she ran away. The serial killer was not caught until he murders her fiance. He was so mad that she got away that he stalked her again and tracked her down, murdered her fiance and his like police dog because her fiance was in the police. So she is horrified. He gets caught and she is now training dogs. She really trains them for search and rescue. So we get a few of those scenes of like the search and rescue with the dogs, which I thought was so cool. And the hero shows up with a puppy and he is like, can you please help me train this terror of a dog? And he called it Jaws. She's really well known on the island that they live for her dog training, and he is an artist. He makes like furniture and stuff, and what he makes is really cool. So they spend time together and obviously start falling for each other, and then the serial killer starts killing again, and it's like, wait a second, he's in jail. So is it a copycat? We know from the beginning though like who is doing it, and so I really like that when you're like, oh my god, like when is it gonna like catch up to her? And it was so good. Like, talk about suspense. Again, I love serial killers. I loved how Nora Roberts did it in this one. I loved the dogs. Everything about this was just like me in a book, and I loved it. And those are my top 10 favorite books of the year so far. Let me know your favorites and what you love that I have read. I would love to know. And again, thank you so much to Max Monroe for sponsoring this video. If you like a grumpy, broody, bad boy hero and a little bit of a spoiled, kind of high maintenance heroine who really don't hit it off well, but are uncovering a lot of things about their past and their lives, definitely check out What I Should Have Said by Max Monroe. And that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good day. Bye.